This episode is brought to you by Genesis Network. With business alignments with the NBA, the Genesis Network gives you all the blockchain services and products in one spot, like an NFT marketplace protecting artists' copyrights, eliminating all problems caused from lack of protection and security in the industry. The private sale starts April 25th at just 22 cents with only 5 million tokens available, and the public sale starts May 1st. Visit genesis.network for more information, link in the description below.
This my two Satoshis. This my two Satoshis. Who need 2 cents when they can get double from stacking Toshis? Yeah.
Hola. I'm Trek with 2Ks, and this is another episode of My Two Satoshis. And that is brought to you here on the CBTV YouTube channel. And so, if you don't know, I'm Trek with 2Ks, and what I do here is basically cover some stories that are crypto related and then some things that are not crypto related, directly or indirectly. But nonetheless, I think that depending on how you're living your life, what's going on in your life, they do relate. But just because you're living your life, things kind of fly under the radar, right? And it just might not be something that you even thought to track. But luckily, I guess to say, I do track certain things, or at least I have certain subjects on my radar. So we're going to jump into this first story that is straight crypto, and it has to do with Ripple. So recently, in their case going on between the Securities and Exchange Commission, which is basically saying, hey, you guys are unregistered security, and so y'all owe us some money, and we want the money. Ripple, or the lawyers, are like, well, no, we're not. And if you're saying we are, then how is it that y'all worked out the situation where Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't securities, but now y'all coming at us? Now, that's just a little bit of the backstory in regards to the scenario. What recently just happened is there was a decision made by the judge who was sitting on the case. Her name is Sarah Netburn. She basically said to the SEC lawyers, hey, you guys can't change how you argued documentation that was put into evidence earlier. And that's what they were trying to do. They were trying to reposition themselves for what they were making as, quote, their assertion for how they wanted to include the evidence. And the judge was like, no, you can't flip-flop on your story. So arguably, this is a win for Ripple. And let me just go give it a little bit backstory on it, in that they were trying to take a speech that the former director, William Hyman, said that Bitcoin and Ethereum are not securities. And basically, they were trying to say that this was a policy in relation to what the SEC had as their position, or a view of how SEC was looking at things. And the lawyers now, after Hyman, I'm sorry, I'm messing up the name, already left the agency, are trying to say, hey, that's not actually what we're seeing the policy as now. But nonetheless, the judge is like, no, you can't flip-flop your story. So the community around Ripple and XRP and all that, they're kind of happy right now. Do understand though, this does not actually guarantee a win in the overall case. This only means that one particular decision about a certain part of the evidence that could be argued a certain way doesn't get to be used that way. That's all that means. And so the bigger trial itself, this is still going for months, for weeks, it could probably even go on for some years. I was thinking about this when I was reading this article, and what it made me think was that I don't see an absolute 100% win-win for Ripple, and I don't see a loss. I think it'll be a scenario like, and I'm making a comparison that if you kind of look at the track record of how they have been going at crypto, blockchain related companies and individuals connected to those kind of companies, so far it's been like Arthur Hayes, Reggie Middleton, the dude who did Ether Delta. They all ended up paying a fine, quote, giving X amount of money back. In the case of Reggie Middleton, well, really, they took the money and did what they did. But nonetheless, the point being is that absolute wins, I don't see that happening in this scenario based on some of the other cases related to blockchain crypto companies and how the SEC has gone through that. Because at the end of the day, they doing governmental loan sharking. Like, let's kind of just call it what it is, right? But I'm not gonna beat the horse dead. This is the story on that one. And I'm jumping into this next story in regards to the SPR. I want to say something on this, right? Now, I didn't vote for Biden, but I look at all of the things that have been going on over the last months and years and go, wow, like you have people really trying to beat you over the head, telling you that this would be the better administration, this would be the better vote. And we have things happening that honestly, I look at, I'm just like, how is this the better option? Like, explain it to me. Like, show me where was this the better option? Case in point in this scenario right here, right? So Biden during, what is it, last year or something was like, hey, we're going to open up, no, earlier this year, I think it was, made the announcement about opening up the Strategic Petroleum Reserves. I'm saying the words all messed up. I'm sorry. And so now he opens it up and it's like, all right, this is going to be here to help offset the increase in price in gas in the States, in the US, for the American people. Lo and behold, it comes out that X amount of this gas, this fuel, is being sent to Europe. But then they go, well, you know, it's Putin's fault because Putin hiked up the gas prices. Wait, what? You opened up the reserves in the States. It was supposed to be for the local Americans here, like myself. How is it that all of a sudden now the fuel is being pushed over towards Europe? What does Europe have to do with me, the regular average Joe person who didn't vote for you, who didn't get an opinion in, hey, we should send fuel over to Europe because they're doing whatever they're doing and messing up their fuel situation? Let their governments deal with that, right? That's my personal look on it. I don't want to beat the horse dead on this one, but I really think that this is a screwy situation in that this particular move apparently was put into action last year. Like they already knew they were going to send it over to Europe, but they only told the public, hey, we're going to open up the reserves and this is going to help the American people. I'm just saying, I don't see how this was a better choice. And I'm definitely upset with all of the people in my own way who voted for this particular administration. But that's just me. That is just me. If you really want to dig into on this article, definitely check out Zero Hedge. The link will be in the description and stuff for this. Bottom line is, like, people are tracking where the oil is moving and Bloomberg is doing it. There's another dude that they mentioned in here named Matt Smith, who's from a commodity data analytic company named Kepler. And so it's not that this is a made up story. It's that people are following where the ships are going, where the logs are showing. So this is happening. Your government, your boy Biden, he just not doing the right stuff for the American people. That's all I'm saying. I'm gonna jump into this next story. And so this one right here, right? This is about DuckDuckGo. And then now what they're doing is they're stepping even further into the controlling information like pool or like realm. Now, for me personally, once they started doing the thing with Ukraine and the Russian content provider stuff, I had to step away from DuckDuckGo. It was a good run. I really did enjoy it for the time. And I thought they were going to stay, you know, on task, but apparently not. It's a simple thing of this, right? Once you open up the paradigm or the door of, hey, let's censor information or access or resources for whatever the rationale is. Remember, the rationale is always going to be subjective to how either the people in charge who have the technical ability or the money ability or the governing position ability, how they feel in whatever the political, emotional, or like the social climate is. That's what elected officials do. And so here you have it that in this case, this is the head guy behind DuckDuckGo, who's like, well, we're going to start doing it where we purge independent media, which basically means we're going to make the list of who we think is valid information. And what I don't like about how this, well, in part, the author of this article is picking and choosing certain things that he says, but even in that, for the things that are chosen, one of the things he does is he kind of makes this over the head statement about how, well, you know, search engines are meant to basically filter through like information results as far as websites and things. Yes, that is true. But what he's not acknowledging is what they're looking to do is say, here's a search of 100 websites. We're only going to take, let's say, 80 out of the 100 websites, and then we're going to throw those away because they're independent media sources that aren't on the good list. And we're only going to allow you to then search through the 80 and say, hey, based on how people are searching, here's the things that we think you might be interested in. That's what's actually happening here. And so I don't like how he is actually presenting this information as though it's just this simple okey doke like kind of thing of, well, no, we're actually following what everyone else does. But then that means you're also working into the pool of expanding how you censor information, because you're redefining the pool or the data sets of information. That's more on the technical side. And I'm not even getting to the coding part of it. I'm just talking about, he's making this argument that sounds like altruistic, but on the technical side, bro, you're basically censoring access to information because it doesn't agree with what your either personal or company position is, because everyone's jumping on the bandwagon now. That's the bottom line of what's going on. And so, yeah, if you're interested in looking at like another search engine, Brave has a search engine now. And there's another one that I'm actually going to start testing out in a couple. I can't remember the name for it right now, but let me jump into this next thing, right? This next story, last story. So before I jump into that, it is so funny that Charles Hotchkiss was in the news, I think a week ago, where he made a comment on Elon Musk's bid on Twitter. Didn't really say anything other than, hey, if you need some help, I'm down. Now, crypto Twitter dragged the hell out of Charles for that one, right? Because it's like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, how about you make Cardano work first before you go try to do something else? So now this post comes out about Hydra being able to work and the promise of it being better than Bitcoin Lightning Network, or the Lightning Network, which works on Bitcoin. The two things that caught my attention is this, in this article, or just in general, about what is being promised versus what can be delivered. One, I think it is interesting that Hydra specifically is meant to work on Cardano, right? There's this whole thing in like design where you focus in on working with one thing, and then you develop and evolve to be more proficient at that one thing. So that makes sense to me as far as a technical design part, but it's still yet to be proven. So this is more of that promissory stuff of down the road. And if you look at the Cardano track record, it hasn't worked out that well for when they promise stuff down the road, right? Now, they also make a point about Lightning Network. And what I think is largely misunderstood by a lot of people about Lightning Network is that it's not exclusive to the Bitcoin blockchain. And so arguably, I would think that the Lightning Network, and yes, there are people who argue about some things of centralization, but that's a whole nother horse to beat down on. The idea that Lightning as a protocol can be applied to any chain. So arguably, with X amount of recoding and stuff like that, it would also work on Cardano, arguably, if you did enough recoding. But then they'll probably call it something else totally different and whatever. So to me right now, to make the promissory line of, hey, this is going to be as good as or better than the Lightning Network, I don't know. There's and let me just run through this real quick. There's a couple of lines that definitely kind of caught my attention for what he has said. And right now, the more important one to me is the green line here, where he talks about the ability that the system will still maintain security properties. It doesn't mean that they're increasing security. It just means that they'll probably have X amount of the bare minimum, not bare minimum, but it won't increase security. That's the key part of this thing. It doesn't increase security. And so arguably, we're going to find out over the next X amount of months, in the next 2-3 years, if Hydra is really all the hype that Charles just made it sound like with this particular announcement, and then, you know, what the article is including in it. Again, links for this will be in the description, so you can definitely follow up and look through. If you hold in Cardano, this might be a good thing for you. I don't know. I don't have any of it. So, you know, whatever for me. Nonetheless, this is the CBTV, sorry, Crypto Blood TV. And this is my two Satoshis, the segment that I do as Trek with 2Ks. And so if I was just talking on my ass, hey, you can say something in the comment. If I am on point with what I'm saying, or I gave you a new way to think about some things, you could also say that in the comment. It would be greatly appreciated if you liked, if you shared, and, you know, just gave a thumbs up. We appreciate. Other than that, until the next one, have a good one, G and G's. One.